Well, in as little as an hour from now, we may know whether a jury in Italy has decided to set Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito free from jail. That jury has been deliberating for several hours now after hearing a tearful plea from the American and her former boyfriend on Monday morning. Becky Anderson is outside the courthouse with us now. A dramatic day in the court and out, Becky.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. It's been about 8 hours that the jury have been out now. They are in this building behind me, Michael, and in just the past hour, we've begun to see a lot of movement around here, a lot of police officials now up by the door, a lot of the media beginning to take their places here. We were told originally that not to expect a verdict until 8 o'clock local time, and it's just after 7 o'clock now. The last time there was a verdict in this case, it came very, very late at night, and we've been told by unnamed sources that they don't want to do that this time. So we are looking in the next couple of hours to find out whether Amanda Knox, Raffaele Sollecito, will actually be able to leave prison tonight, possibly as early as tonight. If the verdict is overturned, Amanda Knox could be on her way home to Seattle by the wee hours of the morning. Michael?
Becky, earlier today, and you and I were talking about this a couple of hours ago, that touching, really, news conference held by the family of Meredith Kercher, who, of course, is the ultimate victim in this story.
Yeah, lest we forget that there was a victim in this, and it was Meredith Kercher, who was viciously sexually assaulted and murdered back in November of 2007. What a composed, dignified family who gathered today to speak to the press. The father and one of the brothers wasn't there, but mum, a sister and one of the brothers were here in Perugia. They chose to speak before we hear from this jury of 8 men and women. Just have a listen to what Stephanie Kercher said a little earlier.
It's very difficult to kind of keep her memory alive in all of this, which is why the whole trial is still going on in the first place, so that we can find the truth and we can find justice for her.
Finding justice for Meredith is just what the family wants, of course. Richard Greene, my colleague, was at that press conference and joins us now. So poised as the family. What are they looking for at this point?
Well, they say what they're looking for is justice, which, interestingly enough, is just what Amanda Knox said in her closing statement, this emotional appeal. She said she was looking for justice. I asked the family what they thought hearing Amanda look for justice, and Meredith's mother, the mother of this girl who was brutally murdered, very calmly said, that's right, we would agree with Amanda on that. We'll follow the evidence where it leads us. We trust the system, we trust the police, and we, believe that we will get a fair verdict.
So indeed, if tonight the verdict is overturned and Amanda Knox and her former boyfriend are free to leave prison, is that enough for the family? Will they accept that?
Well, they were asked several times about forgiveness, and they were very clear in saying this is not the time for forgiveness. We don't know what the result is going to be. We don't know if this verdict will be overturned. We don't know if we will have justice. We just don't know. And so I think they are waiting to see what happens before they let themselves feel and respond. I think they're trying not to get their hopes up. I think they're trying not to get themselves into a position where there's some further disappointment after what they've already suffered. And
there is a sense here, Michael, thank you, Richard, there is a sense here certainly that there is a likelihood that this verdict will be overturned. An Italian member of parliament speaking to my colleague Paula Newton at the prison earlier today had been in to see Amanda Knox when she was delivered back there after her spontaneous statement today, said that she was overjoyed, she was confident that she'd been singing religious hymns. My sense from the family was today that if it is all over for Knox and Sollecito, and indeed they are free, we've got to remember there's still Rudy Guedi, who is banged up and will do 16 years for this murder. My sense was that they still believe that there are many, many stones unturned, basically. But as Richard rightly said, they've said if that is the verdict today, they will go along with it. Mike?
Yeah, you're right. Very dignified performance by those relatives. Becky Anderson on the spot there in Perugia, thanks so much. Well, both Knox and Sollecito say they were nowhere near the murder scene the night that Meredith Kercher was killed so brutally. They say they had nothing whatsoever to do with it and told that to the jury earlier.
Meredith è stata uccisa Meredith has been murdered, and I've always wanted justice for her. I'm not escaping the truth, and I've never tried to escape the truth. I insist on the truth. I insist that after 4 desperate years, I insist my innocence is innocence because it is true, and it must be defended and recognized.
All right, let's bring in Mark Ellis now to help us understand some of the legal issues. Executive Director of the International Bar Association. He is in our London bureau. Good to see you again. Let's once again go over what can happen here as we wait for this verdict.
Well, there are essentially 3 scenarios. This court can decide to uphold the verdict of the lower court. The court could then or decide to overturn the verdict, or the court could decide to alter the sentence of the 2 defendants. Those are essentially the 3 scenarios that we're facing in this court, or the 8 individuals will have to decide. So that's generally what they have to do.
And when you say alter the sentence, either direction as well, too, if they don't buy the story, right?
Yes, and remember, if they're going to alter that sentence, it's because they still feel that there's sufficient evidence to have proven their guilt at the lower court, and that's clearly not what the defendants want to hear, but that is a possibility, yes.
And one presumes, how does it work in Italy if she is released, and Raphael too, but in the case of Amanda Knox, and she is released and presumably is then free to leave the country, the prosecution then appeals this decision?
Yes, either party can appeal to the highest court, the Court of Cassation, essentially the Supreme Court of Italy, and if in fact that court were to overturn the appeals court's decision, assuming the appeals court decided to overturn the lower court, then you would be in this dilemma because Amanda Knox would have already left Italy, but this process will take some time, and it would be up then to some extradition arrangement to bring her back to Italy if that were to happen. But I've said before, I think this is the crucial decision. The higher court will focus on some very narrow legal issues. It's this appeals court that in essence has looked at new evidence and has in some ways retried this case. And so this to me will be the key decision. Yeah,
we'll be watching. Mark, thanks so much. Mark Ellis of the International Bar Association in London there. All right, now let's turn to the Libyan civil war. The country's transitional leaders say it will be officially won. The country will be liberated when the city of Sirte is taken. Out on underway too, and so they're worried about this fire perhaps having the potential to spread. Well, as we continue waiting for the jury's decision in the appeal of Amanda Knox and Raphael Sollecito, we want to show you what it was like inside the courtroom on Monday morning. Senior international correspondent Matthew Chance was there as the 2 defendants spoke directly to the court, denying allegations that Meredith Kercher's murder was the result of some sadistic sex game gone wrong.
Well, there she is, Amanda Knox, being escorted into this Perugia courtroom, looking nervous and stressed as she prepares for what must be the biggest speech of her life. 15 minutes is what she gets to stand in front of this court and, in her own words, try to convince the judges and the jury that she did not kill Meredith Kercher and that they should set her free. Then, at times, choking through her tears and in fluent Italian, Knox delivered her emotional plea.
I am not what they say I am. Perverse, violent. I respect life and people, and I haven't done the things that they are suggesting I've done. I haven't murdered. I haven't raped. I haven't stolen. I wasn't there. I wasn't present at the crime.
Her former boyfriend, Raffaele Sollecito, himself serving a 25-year sentence, also faced the court, begging them for freedom.
I've never hurt anybody in my life. The charges against me for all these years are so out of character that I've always thought that everything would be cleared up. But that didn't happen.
I know you're about to enter a media blitz, but how do you think you'll do? Afterwards, outside the court, neither family would comment. The parents of Amanda Knox and Raffaella Sollecito tight-lipped as the jury in this gripping case decides their fate.
And Matthew joins us now live from Perugia. Matthew, as well as hearing from Knox and Sollecito, we also heard from the Kircher family, perhaps wanting to get in before this decision is made and the media's attention swings onto the two accused.
That's right, Michael. As I mentioned in that report, both the fathers of Amanda Knox and Raffaella Sollecito refused to comment on the delivery of those very important speeches that their children made inside the courthouse today. Not so for the family of Meredith Kircher, though, because across town, elsewhere in Perugia, after the court session had retired, the family gave a news conference calling essentially for the murder convictions against Knox and Sollecito to be upheld. Take a listen.
What everyone needs to remember is what Mum and I were talking about earlier, the brutality of what actually happened that night, and everything that Meredith must have felt that night, everything she went through, the fear and the terror and not knowing why, and she didn't deserve that. No one deserves that.
It was a truly brutal crime indeed, and that's exactly what the jury inside this court here in Perugia are now trying to decide, whether or not Amanda Knox and Raffaella Sollecito were guilty of committing it. Michael.
All right, Matthew, I suppose we keep saying that this could come up in the next hour or so, but is it not the case that this could go on for hours?
It's certainly a possibility that we're all kind of very aware of. What the judge said earlier today is that there won't be a decision by the court until 8 o'clock local time at least. That's in just over half an hour from now, but he didn't say at 8 o'clock there'll be a verdict. Of course, it could mean several hours after that. There's always an outside possibility as well that because of the complex nature of the charges and the amount of charges against Knox and Sollecito, that the court won't be able to reach a decision this evening. We're told by the lawyers of Amanda Knox that that's not really something they expect will happen. They're expecting a verdict, a decision rather, by the court tonight before midnight, but it's certainly a possibility.
Matthew, thanks very much. Matthew Chance on the scene there, keeping an eye on that still developing story. OK, now to another major case.